Hello everyone. Testing. Make sure the audio's working right. Everybody, give me just 1 second. Hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. It sounds alright. Yeah, turn down the volume on the actual game. Holy shit. Why is it so high? Volume on the actual game. Okay, I think that's alright. Oh shit, I just undid all of it. Oh no, I didn't. It automatically saved. Okay. Alright, well, welcome everybody to the Dagon game. If you're a fan of Lovecraft stuff, then you'll recognize that name. I've never played this. Apparently it's based off the actual straight-up story, which I never actually read. At some point I need to actually sit down and read his work, but I just keep doing other things besides that. I know that apparently, yeah, they do have some DLCs that are kind of based off of the story where it kind of continues it a little bit, so I think we'll definitely have to check that out. Hold on 1 second. Dagon is a faithful, interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot. Okay.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
The game you'll encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey. Others reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and the author. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find these secrets, focus your eyes and look for the Elder sign. Okay. LB and left trigger. What the hell? These are weird controls.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
Is there an alternate ending for that?
Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Okay, let's take a look at all this stuff. What's this?
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Oh, whoa. I thought I was like watching something. It's like a point and click adventure, kind of.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation. So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
The Huns. The Huns were Central Asian nomads who established a dominion in Europe and invaded the Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. They were known as brutal, deadly warriors and masters of quick raids who also developed powerful composite bows, lassos, and early siege weapons. During World War I, the British used the word Hun as a synonym for Germans in order to emphasize their brutality. However, the term originated when the German Emperor Wilhelm II gave a speech to his troops on 27th July 1900 before they embarked to China. Should you encounter the enemy, he will be defeated. No quarter will be given. Prisoners will not be taken. Whoever falls into your hands is forfeited. Just as 1,000 years ago the Huns under their king Attila made a name for themselves. One that even today makes them seem mighty in history and legend. May the name German be affirmed by you in such a way in China that no Chinese will ever dare to look cross-eyed at a German. The refusal to take prisoners was a clear breach of the laws and customs of war adopted during the first convention of 1899. Sure, why not? Hagu. Crab Rangoon. You can read the Discovery trivia immediately, or go back to them later in the main menu. Turn off displaying trivia if you find any of those features. Yeah, whatever. Care about that. Okay.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time. When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings. Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight. The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land. But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue. The change happened whilst I slept.
Oh, he's turning into a werewolf. I knew it. I called it.
Its details I shall never know. For my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
What the fuck? Yeah. This is Lovecraft stuff, alright.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished. For there was in the air, and in the rotting soil, a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish, and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing, and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear.
Oh, look at that. It's one of those, fuck, I'm blanking on the names of them. Trilobites or something?
The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
There's an ammonite. Those turn into some of the most beautiful gemstones in the world, called ammonites, when they are like, fossilized gemstones, basically. It's pretty wild looking. The origin of Dagon. Okay, let's look at this. Dagon seems to be inspired by Fishhead, a short novel by Irvin S. Cobb about unnatural affinities between a hybrid idiot and the strange fish of an isolated lake. Supernatural horror in literature, H.P. Lovecraft. And Lovecraft's dream about a strange island emerging from the ocean and him crawling in the ooze that covered its surface. I dreamed that whole hideous crawl and can yet feel the ooze sucking me down. In defense of Dagon, H.P. Lovecraft. Lovecraft's interest in the topic stemmed from his aversion to fish and sea smells. In his own words, "I've hated fish and feared the sea and everything connected with it since I was 2 years old. but I cannot recall what earlier experience gave me such a profound and lasting aversion to the sea and seafood. The Dweller in Darkness, Lovecraft, 1927. Donald Wandre. What was his actual name, though? H.P. Lovecraft, obviously, but, like, wasn't that, like, Herman or something? H.P. Lovecraft, Howard Phillips Lovecraft. Where the fuck did I get Herman? It's like my neighbor when he told me that, he and his wife told me that I reminded them of Hermie from, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and I was like, who the fuck is that? And they had to show me a picture of him, that blonde dude, and I was like, oh.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
Whoa.
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
I mean, that's not the craziest thing to happen, and somebody did catch not too long ago, like, 3 or 4 years ago, like, the first recorded footage of something like that happening, where, like, a landmass came out of the water. So, imagine being, like, on your ship when it happened, and suddenly you're in the middle of land. That'd be pretty wild.
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me, that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Let's see. Okay, there's that. Is there anything else? I want to know what that thing is. It's like a giant muck from Pokemon.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens.
Hey, Ruby. How are you doing? Thanks for catching the stream live. Oh, look at that thing. Dagon's such a cool name. I like that name.
As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time.
Yeah, that's good. I just started it, 10 minutes in or something, like 13. Apparently this game's only like 30 minutes, so it should be easy to beat. I know there's DLC for it, so I don't know how long that is.
That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
It would suck to be stuck here. Basically like he's on another planet, to be honest.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Yeah, this is interesting so far, for sure. Curious where this is going to go.
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
Interesting. Okay. Guess I'll keep moving. Oh, there's a dead humpback whale. If he was running out of food, that's plenty of food for him.
That night, I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Alright.
by the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
Well, yeah, it was like Mongolia, and me and my buddy were at the yurts. We saw the that little shrine, and we were like, dude, let's walk over there and take some footage of it. And I mean, it was way farther than we thought it was. We should have like rented horses or
An
something.
intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
You a fan of Lovecraft, Ruby?
I know not why my dreams were so wild that night, but ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain.
What the fuck does gibbous mean? I've heard somebody say that before. Yeah, I play a lot of games. I'm not a... I used to be a huge gamer. I'm not too big into it these days, but I still stream. Gibbous moon. It means having the observable illuminated part greater than a semicircle and less than a circle. Okay. Convex or protuberant. Interesting. Yeah, I've always loved cosmic horror and eldritch horror, stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again. And in the glow
if you're a
of the
fan
moon,
of,
I saw how unwise
sorry,
I
hold
had
on.
been to travel by day.
We'll figure that out in a minute. Yeah, if you're a fan of stuff like this, I have a storytelling channel where I write a lot of stories that are inspired by Lovecraft and whatnot. And just put up one recently, like yesterday. I had it aired, premiered live for the first time on that channel. That was pretty cool. Oh yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 is awesome. I mean, that's like a flawless game. Still haven't played God of War yet. Elden Ring's pretty fun. Witcher 3 is actually like, it was fun, but at the same time, I just, there's something that like stopped me from beating it. I'm not really sure what it was.
Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy. Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
Oh, what is that? Oh, yeah.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon.
Hello, Exposcura. I don't know how to pronounce that. Hello, anyways.
Whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine.
I really like the way this guy writes. I mean, I'm sure that was 100% just taken from Lovecraft. I'm not sure if it's word for word.
I felt myself on the edge of the world.
The edge of the world. I've had a dream very similar to what he's describing. Where it's like I would go to Cumberland Island, which is a place in real life, but then I'd leave the island to like get on like an airboat and go in between these like marshes to reach some hidden island that's even farther away that nobody knows about, and it's supposed to be on the edge of the world. So I find it funny that this is very similar.
Peering over the rim into a
But it's more
fathomless
like
chaos
wholesome
of eternal night.
Disturbing.
Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost, and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness.
I knew I recognized that name as I was reading it out. I was like, wait a minute, isn't that one of the guys that just joined? Yeah, what's up, Slinky? Oh, you do graphics like graphic novels? How's Avowed? I've heard mixed reviews on that game.
As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined. Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent. Whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Reminded me of that line from somebody was playing Fallout, and he was like describing what he was doing as if he was telling a story, and he's like, I descended the mountain like a hill goat or a mountain goat or something like that, and he jumped and you hear his legs break, and he's like, and my legs broke because I was indeed not a mountain goat. For some reason that made me laugh. Oh shit. I was not looking at that right.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath.
Yeah, it's not a Lovecraft thing until there's an obelisk or something. Yeah, that's pretty cool, Ruby. I bet that takes a lot of work. And yeah, everybody says it's a lot like Bethesda games, but why are you looking at an Xbox in front of you? Yeah, it's the new Xbox. I swear to God, if this was all just like an advertisement for a new Xbox, like I walked up and touched it and you just hear it turn on and see like the Xbox logo, I'd be so pissed. Yeah, sure.
Gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
I really need to read this guy's stuff, because I need to start studying, like, the way he writes. I feel like my writing is definitely getting better every time I write one of my stories, but I'd like it to sound a little more poetic sometimes.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself.
No, he doesn't know. Once I get close, he's going to realize it's an Xbox.
But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature.
Yeah, I do have a Discord.
A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Here's the thing, he just said it doesn't look like it's a work of nature because of the shape, but I mean, look at pyrite. Look at how pyrite forms. It's like perfect squares, and then also, I know bismuth, for the most part, it's not natural, but it can form naturally. And, I don't know, nature has shown plenty of times that it can create stuff like this. Unless it's aliens. What am I missing? Is it to my... Oh. I couldn't even see that.
Despite its enormous magnitude, and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith.
I love the way, like, he describes things.
Whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely. The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures. The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me, and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books.
I ate a seahorse in China. It was the second I saw that little seahorse. It wasn't alive, obviously, but, like, I don't know if you're supposed to, like, prepare it a certain way or something. I mean, it was on a stick, like, along with, like, scorpions and spiders and stuff like that, and like bugs. So I guess you just ate it like that. But I mean, it was like way too crunchy and like unbelievably briny. It was very unpleasant to eat. Hey, I don't remember what it is exactly. I'll type it in the chat or something when I get a chance.
Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern
Dagon.
world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain.
I just recently watched that movie Underwater with Kristen Stewart, which she did a pretty good job in it, but it's very Cthulhu themed. So if you're a fan of that, check it out. And the camera work and like the way that they set it up and like the environment is very well done.
It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
I totally forgot what I was going to say. I like looked away for 1 second, and then my train of thought was gone. Fuck, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, how's my voice coming through? Can you guys hear me clear? Is it choppy at all? Because sometimes it gets really choppy. Okay, let me look at this first. Storytelling methods. Dagon contains many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling the story through carvings at the Mountains of Madness, the Nameless City, journals and character notes, The Shadow of Time, The Haunter of the Dark. I love when story or just anything does that when you use journals. That's how I created my YouTube channel. Islands emerging from the ocean, The Call of Cthulhu, or fictional beings and deities based on real events and mythologies, Mygo and the Whisper of Darkness. It's also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu mythos. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also include in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's skip those details in order not to spoil the ending. Okay. Fair enough.
Plainly visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré.
Envy of a doré.
I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men, though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer. They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seemed to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
That son of a bitch, murdering whales. Who does that? Vikings, Japan. Yeah, I don't remember what the actual Discord login thing is. Like I said, I'll post it later, or whatever. I'll figure it out. I'll get it to you. For one of those creatures.
I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
I like the way they describe stuff like that, like things that have been around since like land was even there.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it. With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters. Vast, Polyphemus-like and
The
loathsome,
fuck?
it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds. I think I went mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Yeah, his
I
photography
sang
is
a
really
great
good.
deal
You should check
and
it out.
laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
I like the way this looks. Well, yeah, one of my stories I'm going to be writing about
I
is
have
about a photographer,
indistinct
so
recollections of
might be able to help me out with
sometime after
making
I
sure I'm
reached the
using like the
boat.
right terminology and stuff too.
At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
Damn, I love this guy's writing. There's a game called Sunless Skies that has like the best writing I've ever seen in anything. It's absolutely wild.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital, brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Are you asking I'm just gonna say Slinky. Are you asking Slinky, or are you asking me if I stream? Read that. The journalist. Lovecraft was a prominent figure in the world of amateur journalism. In 1915, he started publishing his own journal called The Conservative, which included political and social commentary, poetry and short stories, and literary criticisms written by him and other authors. Howard was a skilled wordsmith, yeah, no shit, but he also took criticisms to heart. Yeah, that's the main thing, make sure you take those. Which resulted in his decision to step away from writing poetry and concentrate on weird fiction again. For the first time since his teenage years, Dagon, published in 1919, is one of the short stories written during that period. In this example excerpt from The Conservative, the master of horror fiction explains his attitude towards warfare and the idea of world peace. Why any sane human being can believe in the possibility of universal peace is more than the Conservative can fathom. Should the entire civilized world agree simultaneously to disarm, one or more nations would undoubtedly retain secret armaments and at the proper time take advantage of their more altruistic and less astute contemporaries in the wild career of conquest against unarmed victims. Yeah, that's probably true. No country is or ever can be above warfare until the basic impulses of the human animal shall have miraculously changed. Wait, what happened with your ex? I mean, unless you don't want to talk about it, obviously. I actually need to beat the Call of Cthulhu game, but I'll do that later.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Dagon was the main deity of the Philistines, worshipped throughout the Middle East as an ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagon was a common name or noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, Mesopotamia, chose him as the patron saint of their war conquests. He also appeared as the judge of the dead in an Assyrian poem in underworld prison warder in one of the Babylonian texts. He's often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in the Hebrew word dag means fish. In H.P. Lovecraft's work, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that resides in the oceans. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. I think in Dungeons and Dragons they need to definitely tackle him as a threat at some point. Because they still haven't done the Sea of Fallen Stars, like a campaign around there, and that absolutely would make sense if they used him, because apparently the Sea of Fallen Stars is connected to the Shadow Sea, which is where he lives.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
I saw that the second I looked at the books. Necronomicon. Which is what it wants me to read. August Derleth and the Cthulhu Mythos. August Derleth was an American writer and an anthologist. He also befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works through his company, Arkham House. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of the author's work after his death, he is surrounded by numerous controversies. Sorry, I had a hiccup. One of his most questionable decisions involved introducing the good versus evil doctrine. Derleth was a devout Catholic to Cthulhu mythos, which contrasted with Lovecraft's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's work are often misunderstood and misinterpreted in today's culture. It is also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the mortal plane. Dun dun dun. It's an interesting way to say he died. Let's see. Anything else I can spot? Nope. I think it's just this. It reminds me of those busts in the Haunting of... Not the Haunting of Hill House, but like this remake of the original Haunting, the black and white one, where she's sitting in the bed and she blinks and suddenly all the like carvings of the kids' faces are like turned and they're looking at her. I was like, oh dude, it's kind of fucked up. Why did it make me go over to the clock if nothing's over here? Oh. That's how I like to proceed throughout my house. I need to walk from one side of the to the other in order to move.
Is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease, and has drawn me into its clutches as a hope. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Read that. Lovecraft on tobacco and alcohol. Lovecraft hated tobacco. Even though he used to smoke when he was 12 in order to look and feel like an adult, in his correspondence with friend Reinhard Kleiner, he claims that he quit as soon as he started wearing long pants. Okay. He also had a very strong opinion about alcohol, as evidenced by his letter to Zelia Brown, dated 13th February 1928. As for the matter of drinking, I have never tasted intoxicating liquor and never intend to, having a strong aesthetic disgust at anything which blunts or coarsens the delicate nature of equipoise, I think, of the evolved human intellect and imagination. Drinking excited my personal repugnance, hence I don't drink. Let the herd do what they will. I am rather in favor of prohibition. The prohibition of anyone antisocial force as well as any other. Source: The Spirit of Revision, Lovecraft Letters to Zelia Brown, Reed Bishop, H.P. Lovecraft, Sean Brannery, and Andrew Lemon, S.T. Jesse. Okay.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm. A mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
Jesus.
The end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Don't open the door. It's actually like beating like a heart. Oh, that's straight up like the haunting, the old black and white one. Still to this day, the only black and white movie that's actually like genuinely scary. In my opinion, at least. Anything else in here I can look at?
It shall not find me.
What's up? Yeah, you didn't do a good job of barricading the door at all, dude.
God, that hand! The window! The window!
Alright, yeah, I'm going for the window. That's what I would have done anyways. That scene in Hereditary when he goes through all that bullshit and then sees the ghost and he's like, fuck it, and just jumps out the window. I don't blame him. Well, that was quick. Let's see what the DLCs are. I mean, I guess they're probably going to be just as quick. Yeah, I kind of like that. Oh, wow, there was stuff I missed. What the hell? I mean, I guess I didn't look around enough, but still. You can unlock all trivia in the category you want. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. Let's go back, go to the DLC. Alright, What the Moon Brings DLC, the Little Glass Bottle DLC, and the Railway Horror DLC. Let's do What the Moon Brings. What the Moon Brings is a short, little-known short story written by H.P. Lovecraft in June 1922 and published a year later. With this free DLC, we wanted to thank all the players who have supported us since the game's release. Awesome.
I hate the moon. I am afraid of it.
Damn, this guy's just... He's not even going to want to go outside. He's scared of the ocean, he's scared of the moon. Next he's going to walk outside and see a flower and scream.
When it shines on certain scenes familiar and loved, it sometimes makes them unfamiliar and hideous. It was in the spectral summer when the moon shone down on the old garden where I wandered.
So I need to crack my neck a little bit. My neck was very stiff. I was trying to like keep still because I don't want my mic to get all weird and the audio to get messed up, which I'm going to test that real quick just to make sure it sounds good. Keep still because I don't want my mic to get all weird. Yeah, it sounds good. Alright, yeah, next time I hop on Discord, I'll accept that. Thanks. The spectral summer and the moon shone down.
The spectral summer of narcotic flowers and humid seas of foliage that bring wild and many-colored dreams.
What a weird dude, Lovecraft. Ooh, I like the way this looks. And the music.
And as I walked by the shallow crystal stream, I saw unwanted ripples pools tipped with yellow light, as if those placid waters were drawn on in restless currents to strange oceans that are not in the world. Silent and sparkling, bright and baleful, those moon-cursed waters hurried I knew not whither. Whilst from the empowered banks, white lotus blossoms fluttered one by one in the opiate night wind and dropped despairingly into the stream, swirling away horribly under the arched carven bridge and staring back with the sinister resignation of calm, dead faces.
Look around a little bit more. I don't want to miss anything. Okay.
And as I ran along the shore, brushing sleeping flowers with heedless feet, and maddened ever by the fear of unknown things and the lure of the dead faces, I saw that the garden had no end under that moon.
Really liking this little environment. There's a butterfly. There's multiple butterflies.
For where by day the walls were, there stretched now only new vistas of trees and paths, flowers and shrubs, stone idols and pagodas, and bendings of the yellow-litten stream past grassy banks and under grotesque bridges of marble.
The way he's describing the bridges, and like just every time he says something about like something that you'd normally find beautiful, it's like he's disgusted by it. And like especially man-made stuff.
And the lips of the dead lotus faces whispered sadly and bade me to follow.
Guess I'll follow.
Nor did I cease my steps till the stream became a river, and joined amidst marshes of swaying reeds and beaches of gleaming sand, the shore of a vast and nameless sea.
I guess the nameless sea. Look at that thing. It's creepy looking. Reminds me of some things that I saw in China. Killed yourself twice. Well, quit it.
Upon that sea the hateful moon shone, and over its unvocal waves weird perfumes brooded. And as I saw therein the lotus faces vanish, I longed for nets that I might capture them and learn from them the secrets which the moon had brought upon the night.
Were you able to catch that last video I released, Slinky?
But when the moon
one with
went
the guy on the
over to
moon?
the west, and the still tide ebbed from the sullen
curious.
shore, I saw in that light old spires that the waves almost uncovered.
I just need to read more. Oh, like before I like. It's been a while since I sat down and actually read a book.
White columns gay with festoons of green seaweed. And knowing that to this sunken place all the dead had come, I trembled and did not wish again to speak with the lotus faces.
Okay, there's got to be something I can find here. Nothing. Okay.
Yet when I saw afar out in the sea a black condor descend from the sky to seek rest on a vast reef, I would fain have questioned him and asked him of those whom I had known when they were alive. This I would have asked him had he not been so far away, but he was very far and could not be seen at all when he drew nigh that gigantic reef.
Hark! What is that? Guys, going up there now?
So I watched the tide go out under that sinking moon and saw gleaming the spires, the towers, and the roofs of that dead, dripping city. And as I watched, my nostrils tried to close against the perfume-conquering stench of the world's dead. For truly, in this unplaced and forgotten spot, had all the flesh of the churchyards gathered for puffy sea worms to gnaw and glut upon. Over those horrors, the evil moon now hung very low, but the puffy worms of the sea need no moon to feed by. And as I watched the ripples that told of the writhing of worms beneath, I felt a new chill from afar out, whither the condor had flown. As if my flesh had caught a horror before my eyes had seen it.
Oh, I can see it coming out of the corner of my... Yeah, there it is. Something just moved. Still looking around for like little hidden things to read, but I guess maybe I just missed them in the main story.
Nor had my flesh trembled without cause, for when I raised my eyes, I saw that the waters had ebbed very low, shewing much of the vast reef whose rim I had seen before. And when I saw that this reef was but the black basalt crown of a shocking icon, whose monstrous forehead now shone in the dim moonlight.
I was about to say, that's not a fucking reef from the beginning.
And whose vile hooves must paw the hellish ooze miles below. I shrieked and shrieked, lest the hidden face rise above the waters, and lest the hidden eyes look at me after the slinking away of that leering and treacherous yellow moon. And to escape this relentless thing, I plunged gladly and unhesitatingly into the stinking shallows.
Why wouldn't he just turn around and run back on land?
Where amidst weedy walls and sunken streets, fat sea worms feast upon the world's dead.
Easy, short, sweet, simple. I liked it. And I'm getting a whole bunch of achievements. Like, this is easy achievements. Alright, next. Little Glass Bottle. Little Glass Bottle is a short 5 to 10 minute adaptation of a story by Howard Philip Lovecraft written when he was about 7 years old. Okay. Original words and spelling have been kept. So spelling, if he spelled it wrong. Alright.
Heave to! There's something floating to the leeward.
Oh. Look, it's more like a cartoon kind of look. Oh, and there's people with me. Yay, I'm not alone. But I'm sure this won't end well.
The speaker was a short, stockily built man whose name was William Jones. He was the captain of a small catboat in which he and a party of men were sailing at the time the story opens.
Doing the game you'll encounter in... Yeah, I've already seen that. Hold on. Look around. Make sure I'm not missing anything else. Okay. Looks good for the most part.
Aye, aye, sir, answered John Towers, and the boat was brought to a standstill. Captain Jones reached out his hand for the object, which he now discerned to be a glass bottle. Nothing but a rum flask that the men on the passing boat threw over, he said. But from an impulse of curiosity, he reached out for it. It was a rum flask, and he was about to throw it away when he noticed a piece of paper in it. He pulled it out, and on it read the following. January 1st, 1864. I am John Jones, who writes this letter. My ship is fast sinking with the treasure on board. I am where it is marked on the enclosed chart.
Yarr!
Captain Jones turned the sheet over, and the other side was a chart. On the edge were written these words.
Yeah, he spelled Australia wrong. Wait, I believe. And I can't see from this far. Might have just... I can't even read what the other thing says.
Dotted lines represent course we took. Towers, said Captain Jones excitedly. Read this. Towers did as he was directed. I think it would pay to go, said Captain Jones. Do you? Just as you say, replied Towers. We'll charter a schooner this very day, said the excited captain. All right, said Towers.
That's where we need to go. Really still nothing to look at? Maybe once I get there.
So they hired a boat.
There's always a lighthouse. Every time you see a lighthouse in these stories, you know something bad's about to happen.
And started off governed by the dotted lines of the chart.
Of the chart. Yeah, for somebody that hates the ocean, he sure does love talking about it. I absolutely love the ocean. I mean, it's fucking terrifying, but I also love it. Like how green the waters are. Reminds me of Koh Phangan, Thailand. Oh, we finally got something I can read. Fascination with science. H.P. Lovecraft learned to read at the age of 4. Huh. I didn't actually start talking, I don't think, until I was 3. Like, I didn't say, like, anything. He quickly became interested in exact sciences, especially chemistry. As a 9-year-old, he even started publishing his own amateur magazine, the Scientific Gazette, and some time later the series The Chemistry. Around 1900, the future master of horror developed an interest in Antarctica and began writing treatises on expeditions to the continent. This undoubtedly influenced one of his famous works, At the Mountains of Madness, written 30 years later. As a 12-year-old, Lovecraft discovered astronomy, which he later considered his most moving experience. Realizing the immensity of the cosmos had a huge impact on his worldview and work, laying the foundations for the cosmic horror genre. The majesty of the concept of an expanding universe still makes me shudder in a unique manner. Confession of Unfaith, 1922. The Great Attractor. What if you just looked up and saw Johnny Depp fighting Davy Jones? It would be pretty funny.
In 4 weeks, they reached the place.
We're directed. Okay. Towers.
And the divers went down.
Can't imagine how creepy it was to wear those suits for the first time. Be one of those first people that did that. In the show The Terror, there was the scene where the guy had to wear one of those suits for the first time and jump overboard in like the Arctic waters. And then that dead body comes floating up to him. Was that? Grandpa? Whipple Van Buren Phillips, Lovecraft's grandfather, was a very important figure in his life. As the writer said himself, my beloved grandfather became the center of my universe. Selected letters. Van Buren Phillips introduced his grandson to various works of art he bought from his travels, exchanged letters with him, and helped him develop his passions. He largely replaced Lovecraft's dead father. Interestingly, he also cured him of his fear of the dark by encouraging him to walk through a series of dark rooms. Young Howard's grandfather was probably the only family member to tell Lovecraft improvised mystery tales, which undoubtedly influenced his later work. Sounds like an interesting dude. Wasn't Lovecraft also like famously racist or something too? I guess I'm going back up.
And came up with an iron bottle.
I just thought it was a dead body for a minute. I was like, what the hell,
They
dude?
found in it the following lines scribbled on a piece of brown paper. December 3rd, 1880. Dear Searcher, excuse me for the practical joke I have played on you. But it serves you right to find nothing for your fooling. Well, it does, said Captain Jones. Go on. However, I will defray your expenses to and from the place you found your bottle. I think it will be $250, so that amount you will find in an iron box. I know where you found the bottle, because I put this bottle here.
This is like the world's first troll, where he just absolutely just cracking a joke, just wanting to waste people's time.
And the iron box. And then found a good place to put the second bottle. Hoping the enclosed money will defray your expenses, some I close. Anonymous.
What a dick. Oddities. There are a few puzzling elements in the little glass bottle. For example, the number 2500, which was not a typo, as this amount appears in the text 3 times. It is not entirely clear why Lovecraft decided to write out the number this way and what he meant by it. While publishers and translators interpret it in various ways, in our opinion, he most likely meant $250. The map used in the game replicates the original version drawn by Lovecraft for the story. Did you notice that the land marked on it is signed as Australia? Yes. Simple typo. I did read that right then. Or maybe young Howard was already creating his own lands and unknown islands in his imagination. It is also puzzling that the dates in the letters in both bottles are almost 17 years apart. Yeah.
I'd like to kick his head off, said Captain Jones. Here, diver, go and get the $250.
No. Anything else? Yep.
In a minute, the diver came up bearing an iron box.
Right. So whoop.
Inside it was found $250. It defrayed their expenses. But I hardly think that they will ever go to a mysterious place as directed.
I find it weird that they connected this with the story, but it wouldn't, like, it was totally different tone-wise, but it was still a fun little thing. Yeah, the fact that it was part of his childhood, that's interesting. Alright, last DLC, guys, and then we're wrapping it up. What the fuck? How did I miss 5? I looked around. What did I miss? Ugh. I don't want to play anymore. Alright, Railway Heart is. This is not an official Lovecraft story, even though it may sound familiar to some of you. It's an excerpt from the writer's letters to his friend, Donald Wandre, from November 24th, 1927, in which he described one of his dreams, rather a nightmare.
My dreams occasionally approached the fantastical in character, though falling somewhat short of coherence.
I wonder if Lovecraft used Titanic as a inspiration at all, like, because he was born around that same time, right? Like, it would have been interesting if he had been on the Titanic. Maybe that's why he was fucking scared of the ocean. He survived the Titanic when he was only 2 years old.
One scene is especially stamped upon my recollection. That of a dank, fetid, reed-choked marsh under a gray autumn sky.
Okay, I need to look around better. Clearly missing stuff. I mean, I feel like I've been paying attention. Maybe the first one, yeah, a little bit. I could have looked around some more, but it's just like, what? Yeah, see, there's something. Dreams and letters. In letters to his friend Donald Wandre, Lovecraft described 2 of his dreams. After the writer's death, they were sold to the publisher of the Scientist Snaps and Bazaar magazine and published in the form of short stories. The first one, titled The Very Old Folk, tells the story of one of the provinces of the Roman Republic and mysterious mountain inhabitants performing terrible rituals. The second one was titled The Thing in the Moonlight and was published in January 1941. The publisher added a fabricated beginning and ending to it in which Lovecraft, unable to free himself from the nightmare, mentally contacts a stranger. Other publishers later reprinted the story, unaware that some of the text was not authentic. It is this dream that we present here in its original form, without any additions. Cool. I like that. I like how they're actually straight up just going in and telling you exactly what happened and what to expect.
With a rugged cliff of lichen-crusted stone rising to the north.
Anything else I can interact with? Is it just gonna change the whole time? Nope. Is that a fucking scythe? Or is that something else? I don't know. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. I can zoom in on stuff. Maybe that's why I was missing so much. Yeah, then they say you could zoom in to like focus on things. Whoopsies. I forget. Yeah, I forgot about that. Oops.
Impelled
No
by
wonder I've
some
been missing so
obscure
much.
quest, I ascended a rift, or cleft, in this beetling precipice.
Alright. Is this just where I was supposed to go? I mean, I could have looked to my left a minute ago. I don't know what that was.
Noting as I did so the black mouths of many fearsome burrows extending from both walls into the depths of the stony plateau.
I don't like this voice actor. The author's voice, right as I said that too. The protagonist whose fate you follow is Lovecraft himself. After all, it is an account of his dream. Was that how he sounded? That's why I wanted to reproduce his way of speaking and accent as faithfully as possible. Unfortunately, no recordings of his voice have survived. That's why we had to rely only on descriptions from numerous letters. Friends remember his voice as high-pitched, thin, and flat. Yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about that, I do remember people saying his voice was very weird. However, it changed while reading or reciting. As the writer's wife, Sonia Green, recalls, his voice then became stronger, clearer, and deeply resonant. Lovecraft spoke with a New England accent, which, as the writer himself mentions, was characterized by the following. We don't sound any final R in our words like car, far, etc. Phonetically, our common pronunciation is indistinguishable from CAA, FAA. It's like the others. Yeah, okay. His youth Lovecraft tested his singing skills and even recorded some of his rehearsals. My mother actually liked the results. Mothers are not always unbiased critics, but I saw to it that an accident soon removed the incriminating evidence. Later, I tried something less ambitious. This was a better success, but reminded me so much of the way of a dying fox terrier that I very carelessly happened to drop the record. Soon after it was made, I have since confined my artistic talents to literature. I actually do remember somebody straight up saying that they pieced so much of it together that he basically apparently sounded like Peter Griffin. No wonder why I don't like it. I mean, Peter Griffin's voice is funny, but this is just weird sounding.
At several points, the passage was roofed over by the choking of the upper parts of the narrow fissure.
The upper part, the narrow fissure.
These places being exceedingly dark and forbidding the perception of such burrows as may have existed there.
Peter! I can't do her voice.
In one such dark space, I felt conscious of a singular accession of fright.
I should still use this voice for something too, though. I don't know what, like a character in one of my stories.
As if some subtle and bodiless emanation from the abyss were engulfing my spirit. But the blackness was too great for me to perceive the source of my alarm. At length, I emerged upon a tableland of moss-grown rock and scanty soil, lit up by a faint moonlight which had replaced the expiring orb of day.
Okay, anything?
Casting
anything
my eyes about, I beheld no living object, but was sensible of a very peculiar stirring far below me amongst the whispering rushes of the pestilential swamp I had lately quitted.
Nothing. All right. My gaming skills. Yeah, in this game, yeah, where you really need to rely on your gaming skills. Oh, there's something. Which I can't reach for some reason. Yeah, it won't even let me. Come on. Ugh. I can't reach it, at least not right at this moment. What's pretty good?
For some distance, I encountered the rusty tracks of a street railway and the worm-eaten poles which still held the limp and sagging trolley wire.
I should have looked around a little bit better at there. Ooh, there's something. Borrowed concepts. Lovecraft believed that the authors can make their stories more credible by exchanging ideas and drawing from each other's works. Yeah, for a long time I was very, like, what's the word? I guess anal about the way that I did all my stuff, like my type of work and whatnot, and I wanted everything to be my idea, kind of, but then at some point, yeah, I started working with somebody else, like an editor, kind of, and we were bouncing ideas off of each other really well, so, yeah, it's absolutely a great idea to talk about your ideas, so you might be able to have somebody else come in and be like, actually, what if we added this in? You know, it's important, especially if you're a storyteller. The best example is the famous invented book Necronomicon, which also appeared in the works of his friends, such as Robert Bloch, later creator of Psycho, and Robert E. Howard, creator of Conan the Barbarian. Its presence in these works, in the works of various other writers, has even led to the mythologization of the Necronomicon and the appearance of preferences to the book in countless novels, films, and other works of pop culture. Lovecraft himself also used elements of other people's works, such as the book's dude, what the fuck is that word? Nameless Cults by Robert E. Howard and T. Thermus Mysteries of the Worm by Robert Bloch. Pastor, creature borrowed from Robert W. Chambers, author of The King in Yellow. Ooh, I do have that book. I need to read that. I recognized the Robert W. Chambers the second I said that. Who was inspired by Ambrose Bierce. These are some weird fucking names. He also used his land of Carcosa, which later appeared in the TV series True Detective. Sothoga, while a creature invented by Clark A. Smith, Lovecraft slightly changed its appearance and included it in his stories. We wanted to follow this tradition, so we included objects from 3 other games created by our friends. Okay, interesting. I wonder if you'll be able to recognize them. Well, I guess one is the mask, since I'm looking at it. That, I'm guessing, and the train, I'm also guessing.
Following this line, I soon came upon a yellow vestibuled car numbered 1852 of a plain, double-trucked type common from 1900 to 1910. It was untenanted, but evidently ready to start.
Okay, well. Oh, hold on. Railway. The railway has always fascinated people. The mighty power of machines, the freedom to travel vast distances, the romanticism of almost unrestricted exploration, thousands of strangers passing each other every day, but also the desolate train stations, dreamlike journeys through the night, fatal accidents, and dangerous strangers. No wonder that this topic attracted horror and fantasy writers, from Charles Dickens' The Signal Man through Robert Bloch's award-winning That Hellbound Train. I've heard of that. To Clive Barker's The Midnight Meat Train. That one too. It's also impossible not to mention the most important Polish weird fiction writer, Stefan Grabinski, whose most famous collection of stories, The Motion Demon, is dedicated to the railway. You'll be able to get acquainted with his work through our next game, whatever that is. By the way, the steam locomotive was first used to transport passengers in 1825. Damn. Wonder if it had anything to do with the number dreamed by Lovecraft. Yeah, probably. I remember some interesting historical fact about a monkey that was employed to control like a lever or something at like some particular station, because the guy that the monkey was teamed up with had like one missing leg or something like that. There's also a D&D, the D&D game, the
trolley
Affair on the
wire
Concordant
and
Express.
The air brake pump now and then throbbing beneath the floor.
Okay. Anything else? Anything hidden? Wish I hadn't forgotten to use this before I got to the last DLC.
I boarded it and looked vainly about for the light switch.
Okay. Let's see. I mean, I see the light switch, obviously, but I'm trying to look for other hidden stuff.
Noting as I did so the absence of controller handle, which implied the brief absence of the modem. Then I sat down in one of the cross seats toward the middle, awaiting the arrival of the crew and starting of the vehicle.
The fuck is that? Oh. I think I was just seeing things for a second. Sorry, I was just looking at my stream because I was making sure you guys could see it. I know sometimes the stream comes through very dark if I don't, depending on the game. Yeah, the audio sounds good. Okay. Third-party games have been very reliable when compared to like AAA studio games nowadays, so very much enjoy playing games like this.
Presently, I heard a swishing in the sparse grass toward the left and saw the dark forms of two men looming up in the moonlight. They had the regulation caps of a railway company, and I could not doubt but that they were the conductor and motorman.
Anybody remember that Love, Death, Robots episode with the train that stops in the field and that guy gets out and the conductor has to come save him?
Then one of them sniffed with singular sharpness and raised his face to howl at the moon.
Oh, wow. I guess he's actually a werewolf. I was right when I started the beginning of the thing.
The other dropped on all fours to run toward the car.
Oh, that would be terrifying.
I leapt up and at once raced madly out of that car.
Hold on. He might be friendly. Let's give him a chance. I'm just kidding. I'm out. That is like stupidly funny that I was joking about a werewolf at the beginning, and now I guess I'm actually being chased by 2 werewolves.
And away across endless leagues of plateau till exhaustion waked me.
Season 2 of Adam's Lost Journal has a heavy emphasis on werewolves, and like a cult of werewolves surrounding something else, like an eldritch moon. So I guess that's the best way to describe it. Let's see, anything gonna pop out? Anything I can look at? Nope. What about if I look straight up? Anything in the sky? Nope. Alright.
Doing this not because the conductor had dropped on all fours, but because the face of the motorman was a mere white cone, tapering to one blood-red tentacle.
Ugh. I mean, I would have ran anyways. Because it wouldn't matter if I'd seen any of that. Yeah, that's not a werewolf. Thank you for playing. We hope you enjoyed our little journey into the world of Lovecraft's nightmares. Yeah, that was interesting. I still missed 3. I'm just gonna go ahead and unlock them. I don't care about that you won't get associated achievements. Stuff's fun. Okay, maybe I should go back and get them. I'm probably not gonna do that in the stream though, just because I don't want to replay everything all over again. I'll just do it one day when I'm bored and not doing anything else. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. As strange as that was and weird. Yeah, if you have any other suggestions for Lovecraft-style games that you know, pretty fun, let me know, and anything else. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. Don't forget to like and subscribe on my YouTube channel, SnugSnowSnail. It's still weird to say all that stuff, just like and subscribe. It just sounds cringe, but I mean, everybody says it, so whatever. I'll see you guys later. Watch out for bears.